John took the kids out of here. So.
Oh, where did they go? Just do something fun for the afternoon.
Kobe's buddy spent the night last night, so they're taking him home, and then I don't know what they're doing. Not going to fucking school.
Right.
It's happening soon. It's August. We're almost there. It's cool. I love my children. I don't want to be a fucking cliche like, when are they going back? But for real. I was just rewatching the episode because I took these notes a while ago, but I was like, oh my God, I don't have time to watch the whole thing. So I watched it on double speed, and it was so much better.
Really?
Hilarious. They're like, oh my God, what if Dorsey they can't do it? And I recorded the intro song because it was like
oh, I have to give a shout out to somebody.
You.
We just wanted to say hi to a super cutie patootie bartender in Denver named Taylor.
Oh,
she's apparently a big fan.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So hi.
Was there some kind of communication? Oh wait, because your buddy from Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's actually called me when he's been there and had me talk to her on the phone one time.
Oh my God. How did they, I feel like you told me this, but how did they know?
I don't remember.
Did she say something to him? That's so exciting and fun.
It was like something weird. Like, I think he was talking to her about being from Madison, and she was saying that she liked this podcast from Madison. Maybe, I'm not sure. Or he told her about it, but I don't think, that doesn't make sense why he would tell her about it. I don't remember.
Well, hi, Taylor. I wish you were a different Taylor, but I'm glad you're you, I guess.
I had a dream that I met her in real life, and I was like, oh my God, hi. She was super nice.
Taylor the bartender or Taylor Swift?
No, the bartender.
Oh, right, because that's who we're talking about. Got it. Yep. Hi, Taylor. Let's do this.
Oh,
Yay.
yeah.
Season 7. Boop, boop, boop.
Episode fucking 1. We're back.
Hard
all over my back.
Hard. Ew.
I know.
It took me a second.
Oh, okay.
I was like a turtle shell?
Ew. That wasn't you. That was adorable. Okay, welcome to SVU Pod, especially heinous. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tasha.
We are on Season 7, Episode 1, Demons. I kind of remembered this episode, and I was like, ooh, this is a good one.
I apparently don't remember like any episode ever.
So it's the opening scene. A man is released from prison after serving for 21 years, 5 months, and 3 days, he says. It's that one guy. He's always plays a great bad guy.
I'm sorry. It's that one guy, the goddamn T-1000.
That's it.
Of arguably the best sequel in American cinema. Are you fucking kidding me? You didn't not recognize him.
I didn't. I knew he was from something. I just couldn't. Yeah.
Gabe.
Dude, if he was sprinting and wearing a cop uniform, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the T-1000. That dude can sprint in real life.
This is Robert Patrick. He's up to 170 acting credits, but none of those fucking matter. Who cares? I don't care what kind of bad guy he can play. He was the T-1000 in Terminator 2. That's another thing Jacoby does all the time is he'll be swimming and he'll be like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And he'll put a thumbs up and sink down into the water.
Yeah.
Gabe.
I know. That's wild.
It's wild because I know for a fact you've seen Terminator 2 more than you've seen your family. So
yeah. And I was just talking about, I was tattooing a guy and he's like, oh, I had this dog named Wolfie. And I was like, are you sure his name wasn't Max? And he goes, what? And I was like, yo, Padawan's not dead. And I was like, remember from Terminator 2? And he was like, no.
Okay, so he's there.
He's that guy. His name is Ray Schenkel.
So this guy's leaving prison.
A guy, William Dorsey, is waiting outside the gate and tells the newly released prisoner to, quote, wipe that look off your face, you bastard. The other guy, because we haven't found out his name yet, the other dude's like, after all these years, you still hate me? And then Dorsey says, you might have fooled the parole board, but not me. Dorsey tells this guy that he's not letting shit go, and if he does it again, he'll be waiting for him. The other guy tells Dorsey that he's been rehabilitated, and Dorsey shouts after him, you'll always be a rapist, Schenkel. So Schenkel hops on a bus and sits next to a young girl who seems to be traveling alone. By the way, he passed 2 grown women who were sitting by themselves. Okay. Mm-hmm. Dorsey watches him through the window and Schenkel waves at him by kind of reaching over the girl's body, and the bus pulls off and Dorsey's like, fuck.
I like how you waved
guy.
Just now.
I did. Yeah. And like a stupid one too. Like I mean, it wasn't like I was born in the 1920s.
No, it was like a Miss America wave. Yeah. You did. Also, I know that the shine is going to be on the T-1000 in this scene, but William Dorsey.
How could it not be his metal?
Oh my god!
Welcome back to SVU.
I knew I wanted to be
heinous.
done
My
doing
name's
this.
Gabe.
I knew I wanted to be fucking. I hate this. I hate this already, Dad. But no, this other dude, William Dorsey, he played Chad Cox in The Fluffer, the 2001 romantic dramedy following the adventures of a porn star fluffer falling for a gay-for-pay film star. We've talked about it before, but what a fantastic credit.
Interesting. I gotta watch that.
I know.
All right, cut to an SVU crime scene. Benson and Stabler speak with a young woman in the back of an ambulance.
In the back of a what?
I heard it. Do it, because I can't.
In the back of an ambulance. An ambulance.
Almond.
An ambulance.
Oh.
So this young woman, this girl, she's in the back of this ambulance. Ambulance. I own everything.
Pinot Noir. Okay. All right. Cut to an Okay. Go. What do you need?
Nothing. That's it. I'm done. That's
Okay.
great.
Okay. Cut to an SVU crime scene. Benson and Stabler speak with a young woman in the back of an ambulance. By the way, it's not who Schenkel sat next to on the bus. The young woman is crying and telling them she had spent the weekend in Pittsburgh with her aunt. She rode on the back of the bus and then went to the subway, but she was grabbed and raped. Ugh.
It took me a minute to realize this wasn't the girl on the bus.
The first thing I did was like, is it the same girl? But I'm like, that would have been although that would have been a twist that they would have, I don't know.
It feels like it would have been too obvious, but that's also
They do that
what
in the
they
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Benson decides to ride with the girl in the ambulance. Stabler is going to go back to the precinct, but is approached by William Dorsey, who crosses the police tape. Dorsey tells Stabler that he's a retired officer and shows his ID, and he heard the call on the scanner and came to the scene. Stabler's like, cool guy, see ya, and kind of walks away and tells Dorsey that they got shit under control, but thanks.
Right. Like, you can't just be listening to the scanner and popping in. And I get how Stabler's like, this isn't going to be helpful.
Yeah. If I stopped what I was doing,
retired cop who's got a hard on, when just go start a garden.
Go hang out with your kids if they still talk to you, buddy.
Start like going to the VFW regularly and playing bingo. Do something that you find fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Get really into mountain biking.
Yeah.
Or something. I mean, you don't have to like it.
Well, I just couldn't see
You're
Dorsey.
like, well, that doesn't sound like that fun of a hobby. I'd probably listen to a police scanner instead.
But I mean, like, I could see Dorsey doing that. I mean,
I don't know.
You know, like, get really into fly fishing.
Yeah, he seems like a
That's
fly
better.
fishing guy.
Yeah.
Right. Grow your mustache out and do one of those hipster competitions.
Yeah. Anyway, so Dorsey says, Stabler, give me the time of day and I'll give you the perp.
I can't stop thinking of other hobbies that he could get into. You know what you should do? Do what I did this summer and buy 2 rock tumblers.
You bought 2?
I did. Well, I bought one to make sea glass, and then I found another one on clearance at Target. And I'm like, well, I should have 2 of these.
What have you been doing with them?
Nothing. They've been sitting in my garage.
I come over and throw some rocks in there. I like rocks.
Yeah, I quickly lost interest. Hopefully I'll find it again once my kids are in school and I need a hobby.
Yeah.
Because I'm not busy. No, it was like something that was, I don't know. Is that an ADHD thing? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
It probably is. It's probably an everybody thing where it's like, oh my God, I get really excited about a hobby and I got everything I need for that hobby. And then I lose interest after like a week.
Yeah, that's definitely
Where are we?
I got it.
Yeah.
And then Stabler's like, somehow you re-piqued my interest, and walks back over to him. Theme song.
Because he goes,
Yeah, because he's like, give me the time and I got the perp. Yeah.
yeah, may as well give it a little listen. Well, good thing
Right.
he did. Now we have an episode.
Cut to the precinct. Dorsey kind of briefs Stabler on the case Schenkel was in prison for. So Ray Schenkel and his cousin Carl raped 8 young girls in 1984.
Were you ing at the fact that the guy's name was Carl?
No, I was
about the actual thing to be upset
Yeah.
about. Got it.
Right.
Well, because
the thing right after.
Sorry,
I'm like,
we're
Carl,
back. We're we're back in, and I'm like trying to get my bearings, and I'm like, Ray Schenkel and his cousin Carl, ugh. Anyway, they did this horrible, awful, unspeakable crime together, and I'm like, yeah, Carl's not a great name. Shut up.
I should have been like Ray Schenkel and his cousin, Carl. Okay, so Dorsey worked the case. Dorsey shows Stabler an old newspaper clipping of the arrest he's kept in his wallet this entire time. He knew Schenkel would do it again, and he didn't want to forget, so he kept the clipping in his wallet. And he's like, I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you get why I did that, because it's Stabler. Schenkel was only charged with one rape. He told everyone his cousin committed the others. Dorsey says that Ray would give the orders and pick the victims, and his cousin Carl would follow the orders. So Schenkel's like the in-charge guy.
Yeah. Over at the hospital, Benson gets the girl's statement as the nurse is taking her vitals. The girl came out of Port Authority and was grabbed by her attacker from behind, then shoved into the alley. He pulled her shirt over her head so she couldn't see him or move her arms. Back at the precinct, Stabler and Dorsey are in an interview room. Should we turn this light on? And they both laugh and laugh. It was dark in there. Dorsey's running down what Carl and Ray would do to their victims while Stabler takes notes. Carl was the muscle, grabbing the victims from behind and covering their heads with a pillowcase. See what they're doing? Here. He'd throw them into their old van where Ray would repeatedly sexually assault them while Carl drove around. I'm trying so hard not to quote Dorsey, but he said, and then Ray would let him have a little taste.
Ew.
We all signed up for this, you guys.
Right.
One time they held a girl captive for 16 hours. We bounced back and forth a little here. Back at the hospital, Benny's asking the girl if he said anything to her. And we are immediately back to Dorsey telling Stabes the next bit.
Back at the precinct, Dorsey tells Stabler that Schenkel would make his victims kneel and say their prayers. He would then put an empty gun to their head, cock it, and pull the trigger, and then rape them again. Which is, I was like, this is fucking insane. No, duh.
Yeah,
hot take.
Dorsey's getting a little choked up talking about it too. Like, that's how hard it's affected him.
Right. Dorsey's convinced that Schenkel is the perp for the most recent rape, and he tells Stabler that Schenkel will keep doing this until he gets locked back up or dies. Or dies. So, I forgot to do it behind the glass. Fuck.
Oh no.
I need that book.
I didn't do one either. And it needs to be a good one because it's the first episode of season 7.
In the precinct behind the glass, Toots and Cregan
are at J.C. Penney's taking their family photos for their Christmas card.
Yes.
Okay. They have a beautiful backdrop full of
clouds. Great clouds.
It's a black backdrop, and they're both wearing black turtlenecks. And the photographer keeps going, "You look like two floating heads. Would you look at the camera?" But they can't.
Toots thinks that Dorsey really has it out for Schenkel, which, yeah. Cregan goes over how many differences there are between the previous rapes from when Schenkel partnered with his cousin and the one that happened the other day, the most recent one. Toots says that the t-shirt being pulled over the latest victim and the fact that Schenkel was also at the Port Authority when she was attacked is enough similarities.
Right.
Cregan sent Stabler to 1PP to pull the old case files, so Cregan tells Toots to go with Benson to find Schenkel at the halfway house he should be at and bring him in. Benny and Toots are at the halfway house and they knock on Schenkel's door. He opens it. Naturally. So he tells Benny and Toots that he just got into town, so whatever they're there for, he didn't fucking do shit. I didn't fucking do shit. Benson asks him where he's been since he got into town. Cut to the precinct. Schenkel's there. They took him in. He tells him that he got off the bus and took a walk through Times Square, went to the park, and then got a hot dog. Toots says the place that he got a hot dog at was always super busy and they'd never remember him. And I was like, are you even on the same show? Like, they literally interview club bartenders and they're like, oh, I remember the guy. I thought he wore too much eyeliner or whatever the fuck.
Exactly. For this weirdly specific reason, this is why I would remember this person.
And Schenkel says, quote, what, a girl gets raped and I'm on the radar? And Benson's like, who said anything about a rape? But he figured if they were questioning him, that's what probably had happened. He knows a thing or two about a thing or two, I'll tell you what.
I tell you what.
He says he's not making any excuses for what he did in the past. He's had a lot of time to confront his demons. And he's a better man, and he didn't fucking do shit. Toots says that he's had 20 years for his sick fantasies to fester. Schenkel shoots back, quote, you the same guy you were 20 years ago? And Toots says, this ain't about me. or the island of Arufa.
Oh, God.
And Schenkel says, no, it's about Detective Dorsey. He got to you. He doesn't believe I've changed, and neither do you. What kind of fool rapes a woman the day he gets out of prison? And Benson says, you!
You do!
You! And says, there's no cure for sex offenders. She's saying that he did it. Okay, we know that.
She's saying.
So I'll translate everything that she just said. She says that he did it.
He probably did it. You
did
it.
Schenkel says being caged up and told when to sleep, eat, and piss changed him. He wouldn't risk losing his freedom ever again. Still at the precinct, after Schenkel's interview, Benson tells Cragen that Schenkel is good at acting innocent. Cragen tells her that they can't be sure Schenkel isn't innocent. He wants hard evidence before they get him, regardless of the stats of sex offenders repeating their crimes.
I mean, period. Like,
period,
They need to have hard evidence. Otherwise,
yeah.
They're like, we can't arrest him on a hunch. Yeah, that's the law.
Right, you guys? Stabler comes in with the old case files from 1PP. He shows them pictures of the victims from the case in 84. All the girls had long brown hair, just like the victim, Kelly. Cragen tells them to not get tunnel vision. They need to look at every possible suspect. And I like Cragen for thinking that way. Cragen tells Toots to get Munch and go canvass Port Authority. Stabler asks to go trail Schenkel for a few days. Benson thinks it's a good idea, too. They think Parole I don't know why he said it like that. They think Parole needs to have a tighter watch on Schenkel. Cragen blames all this on Stabler's interaction with Dorsey for Stabler being so focused on Schenkel being the perp and points out that Dorsey could have been wrong. Stabler convinces Cragen to let him just get in touch with someone he knows in Parole. Cragen tells Stabler, Cragen's always like, ugh, you. But he's like, ugh. All right, but turn the case over to Parole because it's Parole's job to keep an eye on Schenkel, not SVU's. We know that's not going to happen.
There's more cases coming in every fucking 5 minutes, you guys. Right. The fact that somebody's mom didn't come in and interrupt this with a completely different case is unrealistic.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to the Division of Parole. Stabler struts into the waiting room of Parole Officer Craig Lennon's office after changing his clothes per Cragen's orders because he was like all dirty in his suit, so he's like, I can't wear this suit. I'm going to fucking shimmy into my dad New Balances and my finest Canadian tuxedo for this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The guy at the desk doesn't even look up when Stabler asks to see the PO. He just says, sit down and wait till you're called. Obviously assuming that it's just another parolee.
That's how not cop he looks.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
At first, Stabler's like, Marge Simpson. So he's like, ugh, I'm annoyed. But then... what luck! Schenkel is also in the waiting room. It's Fundercover time. So Stabler sits down by him and does his...
Did you say Fundercover?
I did, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Stabler sits down by him and does his best a guy who's out on parole impression, which I guess is just wowing over the newspaper headline.
Mm-hmm.
You see this? We're just both here, just fresh out of prison. So this brings Schenkel's guard down a little bit because Stabler's crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
And Schenkel asks him who his parole officer is. Turns out Stabler's PO is Lennon, who is also Schenkel's PO. So Schenkel asks Stabler how to deal with Lennon, so they're having a little bit of a conversation. There's a connection immediately.
Yeah.
Lennon pops his head out of his office and sees Stabler in the waiting room, calls him by his first name. Elliot, what's up? So Stabler has to play it off like he's late for his appointment. Wink, wink. Aw, geez, I'm sorry, P.O. I'm late, and that's my bad. Lennon totally gets it. He sees what he's doing, and he gets it. And he claps his hands and goes, wee! Yeah, you get your sorry ass in here, McAvoy, you dang ex-con who definitely is not a colleague of mine. Get in there, get this office. Schenkel tells him, good luck, because that was believable.
Right.
So this dude, the PO, he was in season 1, episode 4 as Sal D'Angelo, but starting now as PO Craig Lennon for 3 episodes in season 7 and 10. Also, as you would assume, he's more often than not completely typecast as some kind of law enforcement. Like, this is a perfect role for this guy.
Okay.
In the office, Stabler and Lennon drop the ruse and twiddle their fingers together and squeal a little bit because that was so fun. Lennon wants to be sure Schenkel didn't make Stabes for a cop, but Stabes was wearing a denim jacket, so he clearly didn't. They talk Schenkel and the parameters of his parole. Intensive supervision, early curfew, random searches, no contact with kids, no car. He has to get a job and attend treatment. The treatment Schenkel is enrolled in is a group meeting with a therapist and 7 other sex offenders that meets on the floor above the parole office. And we'll have fun in group therapy with T1000.
Oh my God.
Therapy. All right. Group therapy. Yeah, when Stabler comes in, he's like, McAvoy?
Yeah.
And Lennon's like, yeah, I had to think on my feet. That was good.
And it was like, what did you want him to say?
I know. Way to critique him when he immediately like spun into character for you.
Knowing me, I'd been like, what are you talking about, Stabler? Get in here, you freaking cop. you fellow cop. You're like kicking me under the table. What are you kicking me for?
That's fucking John, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Did you just kick me? Should I not be saying something? So this is on. The fucking acting challenge is on. Group therapy / treatment.
Craig is going to be so pissed. You just know it.
But you think he's just going to let him keep doing it? Maybe.
Probably.
The meeting starts with the group members saying their names and disclosing their crimes. It's much like any other kind of therapy meeting, group meeting thing. All the guys' crimes involve rape of some kind. Stabler's there posing as Elliot McAvoy. Call me Mac. Call me Mac Attack. I am an elite squad patron of SVU Pod.
Anytime McAvoy's used from here on out, I call him Mick Stabler until...
I like that so much better. I was just calling him Stabler Mac.
Oh, okay.
And then changing it up like Stabler Mac and Cheese. Stabler Mac, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I like Mick Stabler better. Call me Mac. Call me Mac Attack. Yeah, Mick Stabler. He says that he was charged with statutory rape involving his stepdaughter. So we are creating a backstory.
Cut to Daddy Cragen's office. Cragen slams the door and gets in Stabler's face. Stabler's entire body just morphs into a stack of cups, and Cragen just wants to punch through it. Cragen slams the door and asks Stabler what the hell he's doing. Pretending to be McAvoy? None of this was clear by Cragen. Stabler's like, Dad, I saw an opening and I took it. Don't you? I mean, that's initiative, right? Then tries to excuse it by saying that it's not him. The parole officer, Lennon, put him in the group. Cragen says, you don't work for him. Stabler didn't have permission to be undercover, and he's also violating the privacy of the members of the therapy session, which is a valid point. Stabler says that there actually is no confidentiality. The therapist reports the sessions to the POs, which seems kind of weird to me. Like, that's a surefire way to make sure somebody doesn't get actual help.
Right.
But they also, I mean, what are you going to, Stabler thinks he can get Schenkel to talk to him and maybe even become Schenkel's partner, like his new partner. I wonder what happened to his cousin, by the way. They never really talk about it. Like, is he in prison forever?
I think he went to prison because Schenkel said that
Schenkel got 20 years for one.
Yeah, and the other guy
So he's probably in there for,
Right, he's probably in there for life.
Right.
Right, Tasha? Yeah, if you add all of that together. Yeah.
Oh, stop.
He's probably in there for life.
1 + 1 is 2, Tasha. Cragen gets in Stabler's face and asks him how the fuck he's going to stop Schenkel. Pause. No answer. Then Cragen gives Stabler strict orders to hurry up and catch Schenkel today. I'm like, wow, you really got him there. Also, Stabler needs to leave his gun and shield before he goes back into the PO office and truly act as a perp.
Yeah.
At the halfway house, Stabler as McAvoy, from now on known as McStabler for me, carries a box of his things inside and loudly pretends to drop the box outside of Schenkel's door. He's like, son of a bitch! Like, it was like way overkill.
Whoa.
Whoa! Schenkel comes out and he's like, whoa, hey, McStabler. And Stabler tells him that he's moving into the halfway house because his sister's neighbor found out what he had been in prison for. He had to come to the halfway house because the neighbor threatened to burn his sister's house down. McStabler offers Schenkel some liquor. He's got a little pint of something. Schenkel says that he is staying sober because it's one of his parole conditions. Schenkel also points out that they're not supposed to socialize outside of the group. And McStabler's like, well, then why would they put us in the same place if they didn't want us to be BFFs? I don't understand this. Schenkel thinks it's because it's cheaper to keep an eye on them all in one place. McStabler grabs his fucking box of just metal things and a pint of whatever and is like, well, see you later, as he walks away. Cut to the precinct. Benson tells Huang and Toots that Schenkel doesn't seem interested in getting close to McStabler.
I need to send you a photo. I did a side-by-side. I'll be posting it. Benny's hair, starting right now, looks like Miley Cyrus at the Grammys.
Oh, that blowback that she had?
Yes. Where it's like whoosh. It's just like hard whoosh. And everybody's like, what's up with Miley's hair? And some people were like, I love it. It's fashion. And everybody else was like, it looks like she was stuck in a wind tunnel.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it did look like, but it wasn't moving. It was like a wind tunnel, but they screenshot it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
But that's what Benson's hair looks like this episode. Okay, go. We are not even 15 minutes in, so.
We're halfway through. No, we're not.
No, we're not. Not even close.
Cut to the precinct. Benson tells Huang and Toots that Schenkel doesn't seem interested in getting close to McStabler. Huang says that maybe Schenkel isn't their perp. Toots thinks that maybe Schenkel wants to work solo because his cousin ratted him out last time and it's safer to not have a partner. Huang does not agree with that. He says that rapists team up because they feed off each other. Schenkel needs an audience to, quote, perform. Benson wants to know why he's doing it alone then. Huang says that if Schenkel is their rapist, the first act was probably just an act of sexual release after being in prison for 20 years. Huang thinks that Schenkel will return to his old ways sooner or later. However, McStabler may not be the kind of partner Schenkel is looking for. What Schenkel needs is someone who he can control. So McStabler will need to show him that he's the perfect partner for Schenkel. Submissive, a risk taker, impulsive, but not a threat to Schenkel's authority.
Over at the halfway house, Stabler's ready for action. In Schenkel's room, Toots and some other people who work at the parole office are searching his room as Lennon watches from the door. Schenkel complains to Lennon that he's doing everything right and doesn't know why he's getting harassed. Lennon, grumpy Gus, tells him to put his complaint in writing. Oh, who's this happening through the hallway but our old buddy Elliot, Attica, McAvoy, McStabes in an undershirt tank top that's screaming, I'm on parole. Just then, Schenkel asks Toots to be gentle with his radio, and Toots sassily tosses it over his shoulder like, this. Under his breath, Stabes whispers, just like we rehearsed, hey, that's crap, you big jerk. And Schenkel's like, dude, to McStabes, chill. He really is doing too much. If anything, this volatility feels like a red flag to someone looking for a sub.
Yeah.
Don't you think? But what do I know?
Yeah.
But it just seemed over the top to me. Lennon tells him to go back to his room, and Schenkel tells him to go too, but Stabes is up in Toots' face, calling him a punk. Toots and Stabes have a stare down until Stabes, what does he do? He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
In his face. Like, wah, wah. And Toots is like, boop, boop, on his nose. So Toots is like, what the fuck, dude? And arrests him and drags him out of the building as Stabler's yelling about police brutality and even legit says, I ain't a scared of you. Why I oughta. Like, he got real. Yeah. He's only seen criminals in old-timey movies.
Right.
As they leave, Toots whispers to Stabler that Huang wants to talk to you. In Huang's office, Stabler is upset. He doesn't want to get pulled off detail with Schenkel. He's having too much fun. Mm-hmm. No, but really, Huang needs to brief him. You know, he's like, I got to kind of go over how you need to be doing this. But Stabes comes at Huang out of 10. Like, don't come for me unless I send for you. I'm gone with the wind, fabulous. And then he twirled a bunch in a chiffon dress. Just kidding. That is from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kenya Moore hair care. Huang stays perfectly calm and goes, Elliot, are you okay? Which is such a power move. Like when somebody absolutely goes ham and you're like, are you all right?
Yeah, right.
He doesn't think that Stabler's going to fool the therapist or the other group members with the level that he's working at. This isn't Daniel Day-Lewis, okay? This is Stephen Baldwin.
Right.
This is Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
We need to give you a little bit of help here. So he's like, you're not going to fool anybody, especially since the therapist is going to run a diagnostic on all the group members prior to the therapy session that evening. Huang wants to be sure Stabler can beat it / appear like he's an actual offender.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sexual interest assessment. And Stabes is like, yeah, the Peter meter. Not quite. Stabes is talking about this literally connected to their penis to gauge arousal machine that they use while they're shown different imagery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the gauge they're using. They're just going to be watching how long they look at each image, which works out since Stabes would fail the other way. He's not going to, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Huang shows him the screener and explains it all to him. And Stabler finally stops acting like he knows everything and is prepared for Huang to help him. Because you need to know exactly how to...
He gets so fucking mad when somebody's trying to help him. It's like, do you even want to catch this guy? Or you just want to like...
Do you just want to be McStabler for a few days?
Yeah.
You don't know anything. It's his fucking ego. His ego is his biggest...
I know, but it's annoying.
Worst enemy. His biggest nemesis is his own fucking ego. You know who knows that? Fucking Kathy.
Yeah.
Back at group therapy, Stabes tells the group his cover story about the stepdaughter situation. Everything he's saying fits the MO of a sex offender with specific triggers. So he's saying he wasn't attracted to her until she started puberty. He didn't want to be attracted to her, but she started flirting with him and asking him about boys and sex stuff. Like she wanted him to do something. Like, I did this stuff, but I'm blaming her for her part in it and whatever. Like, he's he doesn't get it. And the other dudes in the group are like, you're fucking victim blaming, dude. She wasn't asking for anything.
Yeah.
The therapist asks him if he had thought about his stepdaughter since his arrest. McStabler says he remembers what happened and can't make the memories go away. He's really scared he's going to do it again. This whole time we're zooming in on Schenkel as he glug takes it hook, line, and sinker. McStabler goes on and says what he did makes him hate himself. The therapist asks what he does with the hate. And he describes not only what McStabler does, but what Stabler does.
Yeah.
He gets mad and wants to hurt someone. The session ends and Stabes asks Schenkel to go get dinner. And Schenkel's like, we're not supposed to hang out. I've said that a bunch. And Stabler's like, cool. Guess you don't want to ride either in my car. I have a car. Schenkel perks up at the mention of a vehicle. Stabler tells him that he's using one from the body shop he works at under the guise of needing it to get things from his sister's house. And Schenkel's like, well, that's a horse of a different color. Let's go get fucking dinner.
At the diner, Schenkel asks McStabler how he got his job having the rap sheet he does. McStabler says his sister made her husband hire him. The husband didn't want to, but McStabler can apparently rebuild a transmission better than him. Schenkel says that his P.O. Lennon won't let him have a car. McStabler tells him that the P.O. will let him have a car, but won't let him use a computer. Then tells Schenkel about a van he wants to get and that he needs about $800-900. Schenkel's like, oh, a van, you say? I can lend you the money. Stabler's like, oh, yeah? You're going to trust me to pay you back? And Schenkel says, it's not like you're going to rip me off. I know where you live. Get the van. We'll have a good time with it.
Uh-oh.
And then McStabler says, you're not a homosexual, are you? Only he didn't say the word homosexual.
Yeah.
Schenkel laughs and he's like, we could pick up some girls. Then the music gets all swelly. Schenkel says, you in? And McStabler says, oh, yeah. And then I'm like, ew.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, bitch. So a little bit later, Stabler pulls up in a van at the New York City docks and hops out to talk to Benson and Cregan. Benson says that loaning him the money to buy a van violates Schenkel's parole. Stabler knows that, duh, but Schenkel will only get like 18 months for that. And he wants to keep going undercover and give this fuck real prison time. Stabler wants Schenkel to have access to the van, but not give him the keys per se. Cregan is worried that their investigation will lead to the traumatization of a young girl, which it fucking does, by the way.
Right, you're correct in your concerns.
Benson thinks they need to find a decoy cop that can pass for a teenager so they can charge Schenkel with attempted rape and not actually traumatize a citizen/child in the process. Cregan agrees, but he wants the van decked out in safeguards. He wants, quote, all the bells and whistles in the van, and who knows what the fuck that means in 2006. When they find that transponder and it's a fucking box, I'm like, no, they didn't. He like knew where to look for it and everything. I was like,
no, that's real.
Yeah, but it was this big and put on a magnet underneath the car. You'd think that would be like inside, tucked away somewhere, or put inside the wall of the fucking door or something, not just like magnetized to the front of the van.
Yeah.
I mean, it's SVU, so it took him like 2 seconds to find it, but...
Right.
Cut to the police fleet mechanic shop. The shop put fake plates on the van, and if that shit gets ran, they trace back to a mechanic shop in another part of the city. and it's registered to McStabler.
Who did that, though? Who is he talking to in the mechanic shop, Mr. Dillahan?
O'Halloran, right?
He's talking to Ryan. Oh, you didn't know I's a skilled welder, O'Halloran. He's like a blood spatter guy. Then he's in his Carhartts, fucking underneath the car.
He's a jack of all trades, that's for sure.
He's a Renaissance man.
He can do everything. Yeah. Okay, so the van is also registered to McStabler, and he's given an ID and registration under this alias. The alias is McStabler.
It's just one name, just like McLovin in Superbad.
Right. A GPS transponder is placed under the front of the bumper. It's the size of the phone Zach Morris used, and the car phone my dad had in his 1998 Intrepid.
My dad had a car phone too. It was like in a bag
in the middle of
My dad would be like, I'm calling from the bag phone. I'm away home. And like my dad has a phone in his car, like a limo.
There's also fiber optic cameras and mics, but they're not set to real time. It's just like recording. And Toots points out a lockbox with a gun in it that can be accessed by pressing certain functions of the car in specific order, like the AC with radio, blah, blah, blah.
AB, up, down, select.
Right. I would never remember that. I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. And then be like, fuck.
Right.
And just start like punching the console. Stabler's pumped. This is all high tech.
Super cool. Time to do it. Time to go. Stabler picks up Schenkel in the van. Schenkel gets in and quotes a writer from the 1800s and just goes, "Go west, young man." Okay, we get it. You were in prison. I actually Googled it because I'm like, that has to be from something specific, and it is. Meanwhile, Toots is driving a cab with Benny in the backseat, directing with that gorgeous tracking technology we love. Follow the blinking red dot. They radio Cregan and the undercover female officer who head out to drop her off. Schenkel's watching the streets and points to a potential victim, which is the undercover officer who's walking really slowly along the sidewalk. Naturally. Stabler quickly puts rhinestones all over his phone and throws on a blonde wig. That's hot. And so Schenkel tells McStabes to speed up and pull over at the next corner. The undercover officer stops to look in a store window. Schenkel gets out and walks up to her. Meanwhile, all the other cops are being super low-key, as usual, scream talking to each other on jumbo-sized walkies with their fucking windows down half a block away.
Yep.
Schenkel stands behind this unsuspecting victim / undercover officer for a bit, and I cannot fucking believe she didn't turn around. She's looking at this store window. The swelly music was so loud. His reflection.
She's like, what is that music? Is that for me? Like, how did she not hear that? It's so loud.
How did she not hear that? But
his reflection is like, I'd be like, oh.
His reflection is is directly behind her because he's much taller. His chin is nearly resting on her shoulder.
He's like breathing into her ear.
Right behind her.
Yeah.
But she's like, look in this window. At the last second, he turns and scurries back to the van, though. And he tells McStabes to get them to group. He doesn't want to be late.
Whoa.
But back at the precinct, Cregan tells Benson he's pulling Stabes off the detail and putting him on holding a box fan in front of Benson's new windblown hair. Benson wants Cregan to let Stabler trust his instincts.
Never do that.
No.
Never do that.
No, his instincts are to shoot people in the face.
Yes.
Benson thinks Schenkel could have made the undercover for a cop. He still could have raped the girl at the bus station, which both of those things can be true. Cregan doesn't think what they're doing is right because they're interfering with Schenkel's recovery. Remember that Cregan is in recovery himself, so he's comparing it to putting a bottle of scotch in front of a guy with 2 weeks sobriety, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if those two things can be
I don't know either.
compared, but I also don't know enough about either of the inner workings of someone's mind.
It's giving a little like entrapment-y.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
You have to tell me if you're a cop. Benson says that some people don't have the ability to change, but Cregan still doesn't think it's okay. And she argues her point a little more until Cregan agrees to leave Stabler in. Because he's going to eventually go, okay, fine, he can do whatever he wants.
yeah.
He's my favorite child.
Yeah, he's my only son.
At group therapy, they're all listening to one guy's story about controlling his impulses, and the therapist asks if anyone wants to comment on it. Schenkel says that coming to group helps him control his impulses and makes him feel hopeful. They finish up therapy, but afterwards, the therapist pulls Stabes into his office because he wasn't participating. He was making it very clear that he wasn't participating. And Stabler tries to leave, but the therapist tells him that if he doesn't stay, he's going to violate his parole. Remember, the therapist doesn't know he's undercover, so he and his cable knit vest are going to Danny Tanner this guy into participating.
Right.
The therapist tells him to stop fighting things he can't change. When you're not in control, you get angrier than most people. This is my observation. Is he talking to McStabes, or is he talking to Elliot Stabler, overzealous cop, father, and estranged husband? We know. When Stabes comes out, Schenkel's waiting for him. Stabes tells him that it's almost curfew, and if Schenkel violates it, he's going to end up back in jail. But Schenkel tells his best friend McStabes to give him the keys. And with the way he drives, they'll make it. Stabler hands the keys over, and as Stabler gets into the passenger side, he looks at Schenkel and says, "You're a little hopped up there, my friend." And Schenkel goes, that's fine. I planned some relaxation. Nice waistband gun. That wasn't there before. So Schenkel's like, tap, tap. I've got this gun. We're going to go pull some shit, is what he's saying without saying. Schenkel got the gun from a guy at a bar he went to while he was waiting for Stabler. He had a drink, just stacking up parole violations. Then he tells Stabes it's time for them to have some fun. Look in the back. And a young woman is restrained in the back of the van. This is when everything freezes as Sam the Snowman from the 60s stop-motion Rudolph movie comes out. "Hello, folks. Pull up an ice block and grab a cup of tea. It looks like our old friend Stabler's in some hot water of his own." We're like, get out of here, Burl Lives.
How is that when Schenkel's like, give me the keys?
That I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. He got the keys from him, but he had already been tooling around.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the talk they had was 30 seconds. Stole McAvoy's keys while he was in there. He went to a bar, got a gun.
And a drink.
Kidnapped a girl, threw her in the back, planted the keys back on McAvoy, was waiting for him, and said, give me the... It doesn't make sense. Jeremy's at it.
At it hard.
Jeremy? You're drunk.
Jeremy?
Go home. You're drunk. Jeremy Wolf.
He's like, don't make me talk to my Uncle Dick about this.
my uncle's name is Dick, and he is a dick, you guys.
He's a dick, you guys. But, like, my mom's got a lot of shit on him, so he's got to give me a job. He's in a corrupt business.
At the precinct, Toots is watching the van's GPS and tells the gang that the van didn't stop at the halfway house. Right now, at this second, because the technology is so up to date, the van is going over the Williamsburg Bridge. Cragen tells Benson and Toots to go track them down now. Meanwhile, Schenkel and McStabler pull into the bay of an old factory. So Schenkel's uncle died and left him money, and his uncle owned this factory. So now Schenkel owns it, I guess. Shanks closes the garage door and asks McStabler for a hand. McStabler tries to get back in the van, but Schenkel grabs him and he's like, do as you're told, you understand? McStabler's like, okay, and gets the girl out of the van as Schenkel sets up a place to put her down. And McStabler's like, okay, what now? Schenkel tells McStabes to, quote, you go first. And McStabler's like, well, you found her. You should have your, whatever. Schenkel says he likes to watch. Oh, yuck. I hate all this.
I know.
Ugh. Cut to Benson and Toots tracking them down. They're about 1.5 miles away from this factory. Cut back to the factory. Schenkel asks what McStabler's problem is. He says, I can't do that in front of another guy. Schenkel is facing McStabler and grabs him by the fucking crotch. See if he has a boner. And he's like, oh, performance anxiety happens to the best of us. I'll give you some privacy since it's your first time. Dude.
Ew, dude.
As soon as Schenkel walks away, Stabler tells the girl he's a cop and tells her to stay calm and listen to him. He's untying her arms and feet.
He was doing this all as he was trying to also make it look like he was on top of her.
Yeah.
But he's like whispering to her, like, I'm a fucking cop. I'm gonna untie you. Just like chill. She's losing her shit because,
Of course. They're actively traumatizing it. Yeah. He tells her he's gonna rip the tape off her face and she's gotta scream as loud as she can like he's hurting her. And when he tells her to run, she needs to run to that gate, the garage door and escape. So this is intense.
It is.
He takes the tape off and she screams and you can hear Schenkel yell, "That's my boy!" And I was like, ew. And Stabler tells her to run. The girl fucking books it towards the door as Stabler pushes the button and it opens. Schenkel fucking catches them and he stops the door and shoots at them.
Because Stabler's running too.
Yeah. He like hit that button and booked it too. The girl is stuck underneath the door. It's pressing down on her, but Stabler holds it up and she's able to get out. Then Stabler fucking whips around, grabs a fucking fire extinguisher and sprays Schenkel in the fucking face as he's like wild shooting.
Yeah.
He should have been shot. I mean, come on. As the garage door closes all the way, Schenkel shoots at Stabler. Stabler puts his hands up and tells him he's a cop. Like, that's going to make him, okay.
He's like, I want to shoot you more now.
Yeah. Stabler tells him, "It's over, dude." And Schenkel tells him, "It's not over," and holds a gun to Stabler and walks him back to the van. Stabler tells him the whole place is surrounded, which it's not. Schenkel calls him out for probably having a GPS in the van, looks under the car for literally 0.5 seconds and finds it. Fucking knocks Stabler out and says, "Even if your friends are outside, it's just you and me in here." And then smashes the GPS. Cut to Benny and Toots losing the signal to the GPS, so they call for an ETA on the backup that's supposed to be coming. Benson hears the girl calling for help, and this girl runs up to Benny and Toots, and Benson asks her, "Where the fuck is Mick Stabler and Schenkel?" But the girl just doesn't know. She's turned around. It's very traumatic for her. Cut back to the warehouse. Stabler wakes up. Schenkel's got him tied up to the van's passenger side mirror thing, so his hands are above his head. Schenkel wonders why he was so wrong about Stabler and thinks that maybe he wasn't. He thinks Stabler wasn't acting. And then he says that they're, quote, brothers under the skin. Basically, he says that Stabler is a sexual predator just like him, or at least has anger like him. Maybe the anger.
I think the anger thing is what he was comparing. Because there was plenty of like indicators for that, but not for the
Schenkel says that sex offenders aren't different than everybody else. He says we're not just some, quote, drooling fiends hiding in the bushes. We're like everyone else. Why do you think they have young girls on billboards? And then he says a bunch of gross stuff about, like peddling ass to sell clothes.
And our culture being disgusting.
And if it didn't turn us on, they wouldn't do it, that kind of stuff. And then Stabler says, "You're only doing what other men dream of," trying to like fucking play into this shit. And Schenkel says, quote, "Your dreams are much darker than mine. You try to hide the demon inside, but it's there. I can smell it."
Smells like bergamot.
Oh, God. He tells Stabler that his hands are dirty too because of all the ways Stabler lured him in and set him up. Stabler got the van, egged him on, and Stabler says, "You grabbed that girl yourself." And Schenkel's like, "We both know you wanted me to rape again. You wanted me to do it. You're as guilty as I am," and shoves that gun under Stabler's chin. Yikes. All of a sudden, you hear freaking helicopters in the distance. Schenkel runs off to check on where the cops are, and as soon as he's gone, Stabler breaks that metal mirror thing he's cuffed to.
Hot.
Yeah. And is able to get his gun out of the hiding place that Toots made in the van. They're like, beep boop boop gun. Or whatever. Schenkel sees him and shoots at him. They start to shoot at each other. The whole shooting thing, it just was wild. There was so much of it. Then we go outside and you can see Toots. He hears the shooting and Benny tells the girl to stay in the car and they run towards the shooting noises. I would have been like, somebody's got to stay here. I can't be like, lock the door. She's like, yeah, I'm
gonna lock the door. Yeah. I'm not only gonna lock the door, I'm going to lay on the floor.
Lay down.
Well. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I can emphasize how traumatic this fucking is for me, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll be here. We could talk
about it later, I guess, if I'm still alive. I don't know if I will be. I've never been in this situation before. This is awful. The rest of my life is different.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway, lock the door. So sorry. It's just a thing that you say. It's a thing that you say. It's like saying watch for deer when your family leaves in the Midwest from Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. Oh my God, let's finish this.
It's the exact, yeah. So Benny and Stabes run towards the shooting noises. Back at the factory, Schenkel tells Stabler that he knows he doesn't want him arrested, that he wants him dead instead. They're both circling the van.
When you're a jet, you're a jet. Okay.
When Schenkel gets to the back door, the van is still open from when they grabbed the girl, and Stabler kicks it, which fucking hits Schenkel and knocks the gun away from him. Stabler wraps his hands around Schenkel's neck and is strangling him, like hard strangling him. And I was like, ooh.
Careful, you're going to kill him, banana hands.
Cops surround the warehouse. Benson calls out for Stabler as SWAT opens the garage door. Stabler drags Schenkel out of the garage. He's unconscious. Stabler tells Benson that he's okay, but Schenkel needs a doctor. And then Stabler watches as everybody surrounds Schenkel. Toyota. It was a great episode.
Toyota.
It was a good episode.
Amazing fucking episode to start season 7. It was
right.
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna do this chaser, and you're gonna hate it.
No, is it based on a true
thing?
Hate
it.
Of course it is.
What?
I'm like, is it a true story? Season 7, and I'm like, how does this podcast work?
Okay. Vero Beach, Florida. It's a coastal town. Okay.
Hate from Wisconsin.
Coastal town, low crime rate. Okay. On February 19th of 1981, 12-year-old Su Tao Ling got home from school to find his house empty, which is super strange since he expected his mom, Sheng Wang, and his 17-year-old sister, Ying Hua, to be there. He waited for quite a while, but eventually went to the neighbors to call his dad at work. Half their family had vanished without a trace. Months later, July 15th, 1981, 35-year-old Judy K. Daly took her 2 daughters and their friend to the beach. She dropped them off and went to a more secluded beach with plans to pick them up later on. Like, she just wanted to hang out by herself, read a book.
But, like, still be close to her kids.
But still be close. So it was just a more secluded area. She never returned. The only thing police found was Judy's car in the lot of that beach, and the engine had been disabled. They felt that the 3 disappearances, the mom, daughter, and Judy, were related, so they just added Judy to the Ling family's investigation. There had been an odd incident made a month prior that raised concerns. This father of a local 18-year-old girl had gone in to make a report. His daughter had been pulled over and questioned about a robbery. She was confused, but the deputy had said her car was a match. So he had her follow him to, quote, have her car ruled out. And as he drove with her behind him, he turned off the main road, which eventually ended in a dead end on a river. People happened to be there fishing. So the girl reported once they got to that end point, the deputy was then acting strangely and told her the people that were supposed to ID her weren't there and gave her her ID back and told her to leave.
Thank God people were fishing.
I know.
Oh my God.
And it was usually pretty desolate. Like, it was very random that people were there fishing. Thankfully, the cops taking the report were like, that is odd. Here's a bunch of photos. Do any of these cops look familiar to you? She ID'd 28-year-old auxiliary deputy David Allen Gore, meaning he wore the uniform and patrolled the streets, but wasn't allowed to pull people over unless he was with another cop. Also, there hadn't been a robbery reported that morning, so the story he gave her was absolute bullshit. He had no good answer for any of this when questioned by his superiors, so they stripped him of his badge. To give a little backstory on David Gore, he was a very stereotypical, quote, Florida redneck. Okay. He was super into guns.
Like when the news says Florida man did this, you're like, it's that guy.
He's what you would picture in like northern Florida.
Inland.
He was also a really big dude at almost 275 pounds and 6 feet tall. As the investigation shone a spotlight on Gore, police dug up some recent history on him. Not only had he lost a job as a gas station attendant after the owner found a peephole drilled into the women's bathroom, 4 years earlier, a woman had reported that Gore and another dude had dragged her into an orange grove and raped her, but later dropped the charges because she didn't want to go through a trial. So with all of this, he became a person of interest in the Ling daily disappearances. Less than a week later, on July 21st, 1981, a woman was leaving the Vero Beach Medical Complex. As she was about to get into her car, she saw movement in the back and screamed. A sheriff's deputy happened to be walking by, so she grabbed him to show him what she had found. It was fucking David Allen Gore, shirtless, drinking a cocktail with a gun and a pair of handcuffs.
Jesus.
In the back of her car. But he's got this whole story saying his estranged wife and son were also at the medical complex and he was watching them. Then he got scared they'd see him, so he jumped into the back of this lady's car. Well, he gets arrested because the deputy was like, dude, it really looks like you were going to abduct this woman, so
yeah,
you're fucking coming with me. They also quickly learned that his wife and son had no such appointment at that place. He was charged with armed trespassing and sentenced by a jury to 5 years. With the recent news of his arrest, police started getting calls about Gore. Turns out, a couple young women reported that not long before, they had come back from the beach to find their car wouldn't start. A man approached them and said he was a sheriff's deputy and could give them a ride. Thankfully, these girls had not accepted his offer. After police put all this together with how that lined up so well with Judy Daly's disappearance and how her car had been disabled and found at the beach and she was nowhere to be found, Gore went from person of interest to prime suspect.
What about her daughters that were at the beach? Weren't they? Oh my God.
What do you mean?
Remember she went to like drop her kids off at the beach and she went to a more secluded area. What happened to her kids?
They eventually had to call police because she didn't come back to get them.
I was wondering how old they were. At
I'm
least
guessing
teens, right? Because she wouldn't leave like eight-year-olds out there by her.
Well, it was the early 80s, so they could have been 8, but they could have been teens.
I mean, in the 90s, we were babysitting by 11. I mean, I took all those classes and shit.
Right, exactly. So,
would you leave your kids with an 11-year-old? That's like Jacoby's age, pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
No, I would not. I don't even think that's legal anymore. Okay, so while Gore's sitting in jail for this other charge, police took his vehicle to the crime lab to look for anything solid to hopefully get on him. And the only thing they found in the car that could be of any substance were 2 hairs. DNA testing wasn't available yet, but when they compared the hairs to hairs supplied from brushes of the victims, they appeared to match those of Sheng Wang and Yinghua Ling. But that doesn't hold much water at this time. But they're still like, we're on the right track, or it feels like we're on the right track. So the cops start interviewing Gore's family. One of their stops was to Gore's cousin, Fred Waterfield. The two had been close since childhood, and Fred was a year or 2 older than Gore. He was popular in school. He was on the football team, athletic, and they were seemingly very different, but were still pretty close.
Yeah.
And with the cops at his door, Fred was in disbelief. He's like, there's no fucking way David could do anything like that. So, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The only information from family they got was from Gore's estranged wife. There was some weird shit the day Judy Daly went missing. She told police that Gore had walked into the house that day with blood on his shirt, and she questioned him about it. He told her he'd been hunting and shot an animal.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're not getting as far as they need to get to have anything stick on him. So in March of 1983, David Allen Gore was released from jail and began living with his parents. Police kept him under constant surveillance, just hoping for him to slip up. But pretty soon his mother started filing complaints against the police for harassment, and they had to back off. They didn't have enough to have that kind of surveillance on him. A few months later, on July 26, 1983, at 3 p.m., a 14-year-old boy was riding his bike when he heard a scream. He sees this girl fully nude running out of the woods, blindfolded, as a guy, also completely naked, chased her holding a gun. The man caught up to her and shot her twice in the head before dragging her back to the house.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, he hadn't seen the now super traumatized boy on the bike, so the kid took off and reported the shit immediately. Detective Sergeant Phil Redstone heard of the incident over his radio, and the cops went straight to this house, which happened to be David Gore's parents' vacation home.
Okay.
Gore tried to create a diversion by making another 911 call regarding a man chasing another girl 4 blocks away, but the cops were like, some of us are going to stay here.
Yeah.
They didn't find anything. The other ones that left were like, okay, that was a complete diversion tactic. The cops are all set up around his place. Until this point, they can't enter the house yet, okay? But they see these fresh tire marks behind Gore's car. Like, it's in the dirt, and there's divots in the dirt where the car tires are.
Yeah.
The tire marks were filled with a pool of blood. Blood was dripping from the car.
No. Holy shit.
They forced the trunk open and found 17-year-old Lynn Elliott. This was the girl that he had shot in the head. He had put her in the trunk before going back inside. With this, police forced their way into the house. They found Gore hiding in the attic along with a bound and blindfolded but still alive 14-year-old Reagan Martin. They also found the handgun that shot and killed Lynn hidden in the couch. So Gore was arrested. When Reagan was interviewed by police, she told him that she and her friend Lynn had decided to hitchhike to the beach that day. Remember, it's the 80s. Gore, along with another man, picked the girls up and took them back to the house at gunpoint. She recounted the two men separating the girls and raping them repeatedly. Lynn had somehow gotten free and run for her life before losing her life.
Yeah.
It was at this time that Gore's partner took off as well. So when Lynn got shot, the other dude left. This was the first that police were made aware that Gore was working with an accomplice. They broke Gore fairly quickly to confess that his cousin, Fred Waterfield, had been involved in all of Gore's crimes. So the fucking charismatic football player, close cousin who was like, oh my God, my cousin would never do that shit, was his partner. So they picked him up too.
Yeah.
Reagan Martin ID'd both men in a lineup, and the 14-year-old bike riding witness ID'd Gore.
Okay.
So rewind. Originally, the cousins felt like they had the perfect setup.
Okay.
With Gore working evenings. Now, Gore is fucking just dumping all of this to police, okay? With Gore working evenings as an auxiliary deputy and days at a quiet and expansive orange grove, they had access and opportunity to victims and location. Waterfield had offered his cousin $1,000 for every victim he could bring back for them, and they had started planning these back in 1976. The first couple of attempts were fumbled, but Gore confirmed that the cousins were guilty of the abduction and rape of the woman in the orange grove in 1981, the one who dropped the case. The missing Ying Hua Ling and her mother Sheng Wang Ling had been the next victims of Gore and Waterfield. Gore had used his badge to pick up Ying, taken her home, and raped her along with her mother. He called Waterfield, and when he arrived, he tied up Sheng so tightly that she suffocated as he raped her daughter. Waterfield then killed the 17-year-old before leaving. He handed his cousin $400 and instructed him to dispose of the bodies. Gore took the mom and daughter to a nearby orchard where he dismembered their bodies, put them in barrels, and buried them. Waterfield let his cousin know he wanted a blonde next time. 5 months later, Judy Daly had dropped her girls off at the beach. Remember, she was going to go hang out at a quieter spot, and her car was found disabled and abandoned. Gore had been the one to disable it while she was at the beach. When she couldn't get her car started, he conveniently was like, hey, auxiliary deputy here, I can give you a ride to the nearest payphone. Once he had her in the car, he held her at gunpoint, cuffed her, and called his cousin Fred before driving out to the orchard. There, they took turns raping her. Waterfield let Gore know he did a good job in getting him what he had asked for because he wrote him a check for $1,500.
Okay.
Gore then decapitated Judy and buried her head in the orange grove and then took her body to a swamp 10 miles off the highway and, quote, fed her to the alligators. After Gore served his term for armed trespass on May 20th, 1983, the two attempted to abduct a sex worker at gunpoint, but she managed to get away. So the very next day, they picked up two 14-year-old girls hitchhiking, Angelica Laval and Barbara Byer. They raped both of these girls. Gore then shot them, dismembered Barbara, burying her in a shallow grave, and dumped Angelica in a canal. Gore continued to cooperate with authorities by leading police to the bodies. They didn't even have them on their radar for Barbara and Angelica, but he was just dumping everything. On March 4th, 1984, Gore stood trial on 1 count of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 2 counts of sexual battery. The jury found him guilty on all charges and sentenced him to death. He also confessed to all the other murders and received life sentences for each case. He spent 28 years on death row and died by lethal injection on April 12th, 2012. On January 21st, 1985, Waterfield went to trial. He, unlike his cousin, was going to deny till he died. He claimed that he had nothing to do with anything his cousin was doing. He ended up being convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder for the murders of Angelica Laval and Barbara Byer. For that, he received 2 life sentences with the possibility of parole after a minimum of 50 years. He was also convicted of manslaughter in the death of Lynn Elliott, which got him an additional 15 years. So the countless appeals are obviously happening, but I just wanted to tell you that this fucking simp ass David Gore, 13 years after Waterfield was convicted, tried to recant his trial testimony implicating his cousin in the murders. And Waterfield claimed that prosecutors threatened Gore with a death penalty, so Gore felt like he had to include him.
I wonder what his like obsession with his cousin was?
I don't know. I don't know because he was ID'd by witnesses.
I mean, I wonder why he was like obsessed with, because I mean, he was doing all the work.
There's got to be some childhood shit. Anyway, well, let me wrap this up. That motion was denied by this guy who's stayed in prison, and Gore is fucking dead. So weirdly, he apologized to Lynn's family and nobody else when he was...
Gore, you mean?
Yeah. You know, when they were doing the whole song and dance and fucking everybody got to watch him get lethally injected, he apologized to Lynn's family. And it's like, you fucking hurt a lot of people and admitted to hurting a lot of people. I didn't understand that, but I don't think anybody did. And I think the guy was fucking sick. So,
yeah.
But the way they grew up, Gore was like just... not who his cousin was. His cousin was like this cool guy, this star athlete, popular, whatever.
So Gore maybe like really has always looked up to him as a kid or something like that, you know?
Yeah, and they
or
both had
else,
these
you know?
sick, violent sexual fantasies that they bonded
like,
over somehow.
Just
and
like Ray, like he was like the one that was in charge, yeah.
Yeah, making this weirdly perfect setup. So obviously Waterfield is the manipulator, but just like in the episode, Gore got charged with absolutely everything. And Waterfield, who was the dom in this fucking situation, was like, I'm going to continuously deny this, and, you know, only was found guilty, which obviously you can only serve so much time, but it's just about, you know, people getting justice for the crimes committed against their loved ones, but was only convicted of 3 of these murders, and one of them being manslaughter because he wasn't present for Lynn Elliott's murder.
All right, well, that's a fucking bummer.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Ba-doo-doo. Sorry, this is the show. This is what the show is.
All right, well, next week we have season 7, episode 2, Design. There's this lady con artist. She's found, and she's apparently the center of a huge, quote, designer baby ring. I don't know. I didn't look too much into it because I don't want to know anything.
Very intense. I started doing my notes for it and was like... Yeah, I think season 7 is going to be a good one. I get more and more excited. Like, the more we do seasons and stuff, I'm like, look at how far we've gotten.
You know what? I was just thinking that. Oh, this morning, Molly was like, you're recording today. And I was like, yeah, we're doing season 7, episode 1. And I was like, that's a lot of seasons.
But then I'm also dreading getting to the seasons that are not as... that I don't love as much, you know? Like once it gets, like once Stabler leaves, it gets a little meh for me. But also I feel like we can find the jokes and stuff in it. Like they don't have to be ridiculous storylines for us to find ridiculous humor in them, I think. I don't know. I'm not going to overly worry about it, but
yeah.
All right.
So rate and review us. Email us at svupod@gmail.com. If you want to send us stuff, P.O. Box 176, Deforest, Wisconsin 53532. All of our social medias is at svupod. If you want some fucking merch, svupod.com or tpublic.com. We have a Facebook group, SVUpod Elite Squad. We have a Facebook group chat called Walk and Talk. Hashtag Little Bit Loud for Indie Pods if you want to find indie pods or if you are an indie pod. Our Patreon is www.patreon.com/svupod. We have so much fucking content on there because we feel guilty and we want to give you guys everything.
Yeah.
If you want to send us
I'm
a
like,
text,
yeah.
if you want to send us a text or a voicemail, call us or text at 1-920-345-7005. Again, 1-920-345-7005.
Well,
love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Season 7.
Back in my... All right. Okay. I'd be like, what?
I'd be like, the future's crazy.
The future's crazy. I can't wait for it. We're going to have flying cars by then, for sure.
Okay, go.
Okay. Cragen tells Toots to get...
We're going to just keep making the movie Jaws.
I just made that up. Jesus. You can tell because it was stupid.
I just made that up.
You're like, yeah. That's why you have $127 in your checking account, you dumb slut.
Stop it.
And to our Elite Squad patrons, Marisa M, Elke H, Tricia S, Emily T, Katarina G, Mary D, Joshua H, Lem, Eliza W, Melanie G, Andrew, Miranda B, Lauren T, Katie A,
Kate H, Vanessa, Lex, Shelby K, Kimberly L, Bonita R, Maren, Ursula, Catherine M, Kate P, Jessica S, D,
Jana M, Tammy J, Bayer, Sam D, Mac Attack, Meg M, Alexis J, Caitlin S, Christina D, Camille Z, Maggie D, Sin,
Jessica P, Madison H. I'm proud to be an Emily Okie from Muskogee.
Oh God, I don't, yeah.
You don't know Okie from Muskogee?
Maybe if I heard the song.
Where we don't get our trips off LSD. I don't remember exactly how it went, but I remember we had it on the jukebox in the Commons at my high school, and they ended up taking it off of there because they referenced weed and shit. Okay, Victoria, Scout G, Melissa M, Desiree R,
Monica K, Katie S, Brenna T, Andrea M, Tosh, Jenna,
Andrea, get in the ambulance.
Shut up. like how I brought that back around? It was perfect.
Yeah, fully. That was at the beginning, and now we're at the end.
Tosh, Al H, Andrea H, Aunt Sarah. Hi.
Aunt Sarah.
Emily
oh my God,
D.
she's so supportive and lovely. You need to go. You need to be reading the comments on the Patreon episodes.
Oh my God, I haven't. Oh my God, I need to do that. That's supposed to be my thing. Fuck. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Katie H, Vern, Catherine B, Ariana,
Madeline K, Kristen F, Samara B, Amanda P, Mahalia S, Jules K, Julie R, Tracy, Rachel, Kitty, cute. That's such a cute.
Call me Kitty Cat.
Kitty cat. Okay, well that's what her name is now. Kitty cat.
Nikki B, Carrie M, Lilani J, Alex, Samantha S, and Angie W.
Really appreciate you. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yes.
You just make everything possible.
And better. All right, love you.
All right.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.